Well, hey everybody, this is Mr. DeRoy Cruz, your amateur art student or amateur artist who happens to be an art student, actually teaching himself art all over again. I'm going to give myself a title on this channel. I don't know what it is and when I'm going to give it, but I got to give myself a good title. Anyway, I showed you before how I did a review on the Neocolor 2s, and I did a review on the Inktense paint pencils, and I told you I was going to get some Cretacolor. I did get a set of Cretacolor. I believe they sold me a bad batch. When I got them, all the colors were, most of the colors anyway, were melted in the tin, and everything I touched just fell apart. So I called in for a new order, so I'll do a review on those when they get here. I have a set here that's almost like trash. Some of the colors do a good work on the paper, but a lot of them are just mush. The technique to the paper is just as bad as the broken pastel itself. But we're talking water-soluble pastels here, and the brands are, some of them that I know are Prima, which I'll be getting in the mail after this week. I should be getting a set of oil pastels, Prima, water-soluble, and also Charvin, which is chalk pastels or soft pastels, but they're also water soluble. I'll be getting a set of those in pretty soon. So be looking for that. I'll do a review on those. Right now I'm doing a review on the portfolio. Oh, if I can get my box here. Oh, come on. There it is. All right. The portfolio water-soluble oil pastels. Now, I like these. And the reason why I got them, they're nowhere near what I expected. But the reason why I got them is because people on YouTube constantly talking about them. Like, out of all the water-soluble oil pastels, the portfolios are talked about the most on YouTube. And so I had to get me a set. So I went all the way over to the Jewish community here in Pittsburgh, all the way over to Squirrel Hill, actually on the main drag there between Squirrel Hill and Hobart Street, Murray Street, and Hobart Street is the main drag between the Jewish community and going into Homestead. I don't know what that's called there between Homestead and Squirrel Hill, but I know Homestead and Squirrel Hill are the two main areas over there. But there's a Jewish community over there where 95% of the children are Jewish. And I never ever walked outside of the city part of it. When you walk down Hobart Street, you're more into the suburban part of the community. And it was funny. On my right was an Asian neighborhood, like, were like projects or housing for Asians. And I mean, there was like a bunch of people raising their little cute little Asian kids there and that. And then on the other side of me was on my left was a Jewish neighborhood. Well, it wasn't a Jewish neighborhood, it was a Jewish school. I think Jews own the property. And there's a bunch of Jewish schools and stuff. And as I was leaving the art store, I noticed a lot of Jewish kids running around, and all the way from children to college age young girls running around, Jewish people, Jewish descent. Um, and all the men and the boys had their little turban or whatever, that little halo thing on their head. Anyway, it was real interesting to see that. Asians on my right, Jews on my left. And then when you get down into the city part of it, you see more Arabs. That's another video. That's another video. I'll do that. I'll do a political video on that one. I got to do a video on that. But anyway, um, it was just nice to go out there. It's beautiful out there. I must have seen about one brother, three brothers. The brother that worked in the store, which is in Squirrel Hill. Squirrel Hill is the mixed community, the downtown part of Squirrel Hill. But when you leave the business district and start going into the neighborhood, that's all Jews and Asians and Arabs. There's no blacks. Blacks only come through there to catch the bus. They live on the far end of the hill down there, but this is another video. But it was just nice. It was just funny how I met two brothers. The one brother that was walking up, obviously he was looking for a store, just like I was, and he was walking up, and I was walking, when I was leaving, walking down, and then there was a brother in town there, and when I walked in the store, he was so glad to see me. A lot of his customers are Jewish or Arab. I'm glad to see the Jews and the Arabs can live together in peace. You know what I'm saying? And that's another video. Alright. And then there was one sister. Okay, now let me get on with this video. Anyway, I'm talking about the portfolios today. And I'm not really impressed with them. However, I will use them. There's one thing that's true about these portfolios. Two things that are true. One is that they are creamy and buttery, like everybody says. Everybody that talks about portfolio talks about how they are creamery and buttery. And that is 100% a fact. The other thing that they say is that they are very smooth, like regular pastels. And that is 99% correct. Certain pigments are just as smooth as regular oil pastels. Now, these, however, I'm somewhat disappointed. What they don't tell you is that certain pigments don't dissolve. Matter of fact, a number of pigments in the set do not dissolve. Number one, they don't dissolve very good at all. You have to really, really press and go over and over and over. It's like you got to use more water to get them dissolved, whereas the Neocolors, you just need a pinch of water and that color starts to move. That's the difference between this, and I don't know which came out first. I'm wondering if these came out first because everybody, and this is another reason why I went and got these, is because I've watched people teach you how to use these in colleges. Like I watched a couple videos where they were actually using these at a college, teaching people how to paint. And in the new colleges and the new curriculum in that, they are teaching their students how to paint with pastels. So that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. A lot of people, when it comes to watercolor, they rather just use regular watercolor instead of getting into pencils and pastels. Now, what I had thought was that because everyone is so excited about portfolio, was that they would be more like pastel, like my Neocolors. They would be very pastel-like when they dissolve, and they're not. Once you are able to get them to lay down, They're more like watercolor. And I'll show you here. I'll show you some things, some scribbling that I just did. Now on the bottom here of this one, you can see my Neocolors. But this one here, look at the difference. That is the portfolio. And you see how the pigment doesn't totally dissolve. It's beautiful and vibrant, but it doesn't really totally dissolve. Okay. Whereas over here, the Neocolors, see how smooth they dissolve. Okay. And you know, now if you're using them, if you're using the portfolio for just helping you out, it all depends on how you use these portfolios, which I noticed as I was watching a video from this lady at a school. You know, if you draw your picture and then you add a touch of water in certain areas, to make it look better, then yeah, these are awesome. Okay, but they don't completely dissolve the way the Neocolor does. The Neocolor turns into like a thick paint, whereas this just turns into, this doesn't dissolve. Okay, it just simply doesn't dissolve the way I expected it to. I thought, even though they're inexpensive, I thought they would dissolve like the Neocolors because everybody is excited about these portfolios. Okay, I thought they would dissolve just like the Neocolors for less than money, but they don't. But they are fun though. They are fun. They are buttery and creamery. Now, the colors are very, very vibrant, as you can see here. The colors are very vibrant. Okay, this I did scribbling with the portfolio, and you can see the colors are very vibrant. But as you can see, they're not as light fast, or they're not as creamy. You know, the Neocolors go down like crayons. If you've ever played with crayons, the Neocolors go down like crayons, but when you dissolve them, they move about like pastel. Whereas these portfolios, they go down like pastel, but when you dissolve them, then you take away, it's almost like you take away the pastel beauty of it, and they turn into like watercolor. Maybe even a cheaper version than the actual watercolors we're used to seeing. But I do like them though, like I did this here. I was able to get these colors dissolved as long as I kept them in small spaces. And that's one of the things about these portfolios. You're able to get them to dissolve as long as you keep them in small places. Like I tried to draw a seascape yesterday, and let me see if I have it, and I'll show it. Let me see if I have that. Did I throw it away? Here it is. I was just goofing off. Don't quote me, but I was drawing this, and I couldn't get the brown to dissolve. And that's one of the things I want to say. The brown on these portfolios, both browns, there's two browns in there, a soft brown and a dark brown. The dark brown is very hard to dissolve. I had to actually fix this with my Neocolors because I couldn't get the brown to dissolve, so I went over it. Okay, the brown is your most hard to work. It's very undurable, the brown, and you can see right there still where even trying to go over it with Neocolor, I couldn't get the flakes out of the color. Okay, but you know, the purples and the white and the black are very nice colors, and the rust and different colors, they're very nice. I mean, and you know, they're student grade. You can make good pictures with them. No doubt, you can make good pictures with them. They're student grade. Good way to start out. What I have coming on the way is the primer, and the primer is another one that I know is uh, everybody's favorite. That gets a lot of good ratings. So I'm going to get me some primers. I believe the primers will do a lot better than these portfolios, that is. And the credit color, some of the colors do better than the portfolios. But so far, is this dumb batch I got, which I think the next batch I get, which I got coming in the mail. Um, as I said, a lot of the pastels broke on me as soon as they got here. As soon as I touched them, they broke. And a few of them were even melted. I couldn't even use them without them just crumbling. So I told Blick online, I told them about it, and they said, keep them, throw them away, whatever you want to do. We'll send you another batch, and hopefully that batch will be better. So they're sending me another batch, and hopefully, I'm sure, that batch will at least be a little bit better. But if it is not a better batch, they work like these portfolios. So before you go buy credit color, okay, find somebody that has credit color, okay? Before you go online and go through all that trouble of, you know, uh, ordering online and everything just to find out that they don't work any better than portfolio. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the colors do work better than portfolio. And just like portfolio, some of the colors you need to smooth out with a blender or a finger before you put water to them, because all you'll get is flakes, and them flakes will be all over the place, and you try to get them out with water, you can't. When the Neocolors, when they flake, you can dissolve those flakes with water easily. Just keep on painting and the flake will eventually go away. But these bad boys, they do not, the flakes don't want to go away. They just ruin your project. I mean, what I've been doing is I'll take a wet sponge or something, a dabber, and get them off of there. But they flake a lot. Some of the colors in here are like taking regular oil pastels and trying to add water to them. That's how hard they are to dissolve, and that's how flaky they are once they start to dissolve. They just don't want to dissolve. They give out flakes instead of dissolving. And you need to know that before you run and get. But because these are so inexpensive and you can draw with them, like I did here. This was not a piece of artwork. This is me scribbling just to check out the portfolios. Here's my guy with the handicap arm. The handicap super arm. He looks like he's a Muslim. I don't know. I don't know. You know, I just threw this together to, you know, but you can draw with them. I did this whole thing in nothing but portfolio. You can draw with them. Okay. But they are no comparison to Neocolor. Okay, they're no comparison to the Neocolors. No comparison. I got a feeling that Neocolor is Neocolor, and there is no other like Neocolor. Now, I don't know if Neocolor came out with this idea first and then everybody else was trying to piggyback off of Neocolor, or if Portfolio came out first and then everybody else is making better brands than Portfolio. Now, if you look on the box here, 2002, this brand right here, this set of 24 portfolio water-soluble oil pastels for wet or dry work. This here particular little box of pastels, 24 set, has been constantly being sold since 2002. Okay? So, and they're made in Spain. These are made in Spain, as you can see there. Made in Spain. So, they're fun though. I mean, I'm going to use them, and because they're inexpensive, when these start to like really get down, I'll probably get another set of them. But they're not my favorites. They're not, there's a lot that people aren't telling you about them. I've tried them on 3 different types of watercolor paper. If you use straight watercolor paper like the regular watercolor paper, it makes it even a little bit difficult for the pastel to lay down, and you get more flakes. If you use a smooth Valium paper, it's a little bit easier to lay them down. The Valium paper has to be heavy because another thing about these is they do eat into the paper more than these guys right here. You figure being these guys got more chemicals in them, they're made out of more stuff. You figure they would eat